I spent 7 days in China with a New Zealand AI delegation, going behind the scenes inside their leading robotics and AI companies. I had absolutely no idea what to expect, but I came home blown away by two distinct things. One, how deeply AI is already woven into everyday life over there, and also how far ahead they are in robotics. So let me show you what I actually saw on the ground. Straight off the plane and in the terminal was a giant AI and Olympics banner, right in the middle, and it did not stop there. Driving to the hotel, building after building had the letters AI standing out like a sore thumb amongst the Chinese characters. On our first day, we had some time to explore, so we went to the Summer Palace, which is a stunning historic location, and then you turn a corner and a robot is taking your drink order. You scan a QR code, you pay through Alipay, and the robot goes and grabs the drinks for you and hands it to you. Every hotel room we stayed in had a voice assistant running the TV, the air conditioning, the blinds, the lights. You just speak to it like a supercharged Siri. One of the things that I was bracing for was the smog, and I honestly thought, being in Beijing, I'd be right in the thick of it. Instead, there were EVs as far as the eye could see, and barely any smog at all. They've moved on sustainability incredibly fast, and they aren't basic EVs, they're packed with advanced technology. Some of that technology we were actually able to jump into, like their fully autonomous cars, the kind that you control just by talking to it. You can ask it for a seat massage, you can ask it to change directions, and it will do that all automatically. But the one that really got me surprised was the food delivery system. Their version of Uber Eats, the driver doesn't come directly to your room in a hotel. They actually drop it off in the lobby, into a robot, and that robot is connected with the hotel systems. It goes into the lift, goes to your floor, and brings it to your door completely autonomously, wired, integrated together. And that's the takeaway. AI over there isn't separated from ChatGPT and these different AI models. It's an integrated system into every part of their day-to-day life. We got to meet a huge number of robotics companies, Unitree, Galbot, Magic Lab, and the message was basically the same at every one. These robots are genuinely brilliant in narrow specific settings, moving parts and boxes on a manufacturing line, picking medication in a pharmacy. Galbot even had a humanoid serving coffee and food inside a family mart. The one everyone sees online is the dancing humanoid, which is a bit gimmicky, but realistically keeping a two-legged robot balanced like that is genuinely very hard engineering. So we see these humanoids and we assume that we're one step from Terminator walking down the street, but actually we're quite far from that reality. This is what they told us. The hardest problem right now isn't the robot body, it's the data. Specifically, closing the gap between the simulated and the messy real world that we actually live in. And everyone's approaching it differently. One company is building what they call a world model with NVIDIA behind them. Others are actually paying people to record themselves doing everyday tasks at their home with a camera strapped to their head. Over in the States, people are getting free house cleaning if the cleaners can wear a full body tracking suit with a lot of cameras. Real world data is the most valuable thing in robotics right now. And that's exactly where New Zealand actually has an edge. We can't outbuild their factories, we can't outdo in terms of the premier models, but we have unique data in terms of agriculture where we can actually provide that value. That's the data they can't just buy, so we can compete at that level. So why do they move so fast? A big part is their national direction. China's new 5-year plan for 2026 to 2030 mentions AI more than 50 times, and their last one mentioned it about 6. It comes with a dedicated AI Plus push to drive AI into every industry with targets like 90% adoption across key sectors by 2030 and the openly stated goal of being the world leader in AI by then. And you feel that direction in every company we visited. Even competing banks openly knew exactly how many AI assistants each other had deployed. At the China Construction Bank, they rolled out over 400 AI agents internally. Staff actually built their own agents and automations and then put them on an internal marketplace. If colleagues start using yours, it spreads fast. If no one does, they quietly die off. It's almost like natural selection for AI tools. Then there are manufacturers like Dreamy. The old advantage for China was manufacturing. Their new advantage is their iteration speed. Because building is so cheap and fast there, they can test, fail, and rebuild quicker than anyone. Over 200 businesses run under their ecosystem, a fridge that adjusts to the vegetables inside based on the temperature using AI, a stair-climbing vacuum cleaner, a tap that pours the exact amount on command. And the mechanism behind that speed is brutal. In some areas, 2 internal teams compete on the same problem and product, and if a team misses targets, it's gone. You don't have to admire that to learn where it comes from. Whoever shortens the build, test, rebuild loop wins. We're cautious by nature in New Zealand. Great for safety, but costly for our learning. We need to shorten our loops. Not everything was robotics. Some of the biggest surprises were where software companies, because they broke the assumptions we often walked in with. Take ZAI for example. Their base model GLM hit state of the art for open source coding, so I expected a data hungry pitch. Instead, a lot of their focus from the conversation we had was around sovereign AI, actually helping other countries set up the talent, the data, the computing power to run AI on their own soil with the information staying completely local, not going offshore. That is the complete opposite of the Western assumption that Chinese AI is all about siphoning your data. Then Baidu, they've built their own version of Lovable called Midu, where people build AI tools and actually sell them on a marketplace, packaged straight into the App Store with an enterprise version for companies. And they've got AI generated live shopping influencers. The part that was the most surprising, that even when these live streams openly say the host is AI generated, not a real person, they get the same number of sales and in some products even more. So the software layer over there isn't just catching up, it's going somewhere genuinely different from the story that we tell ourselves in the West. One area I didn't have much knowledge prior in was healthcare. At a university, a company had built AI agents to train healthcare professionals. They've got millions of simulated patients, every age, body type, set of symptoms, and as a trainee you get to work the case, order the lab tests, get the results back, ask the questions, and work towards a diagnosis. And you've got to think about the leverage there. A doctor might see 30 real cases in a day. In simulation, they can train on hundreds of thousands of unique ones they may not see in the real world. The models they were using already hit 90% plus on US medical licensing exams. It lets doctors practice rare cases they're almost never likely to encounter day to day, and there's a huge help for students coming through and learning on real world examples. The exact same idea is also flipped around to triage. A real patient talks to an AI agent that does the first assessment before they even see a doctor. At the hospital, we saw that live. It's almost entirely contactless. You speak to an AI agent, runs you through the triage, you get a QR code through your phone, and then you go and wait for your MRI and X-ray. In the MRIs and X-rays, it's actually reduced the time a doctor takes to interpret that by 80%. The pharmacy at the end is fully autonomous. You scan your QR code, and like at Amazon warehouse, the robot picks up your medication and hands it over to you in one smooth flow. The scale here was insane. That one hospital we visited serves around 5 million patients every single year, which is basically the population of New Zealand going through a single hospital. Then there's the smart city side, which for an engineer was absolutely fascinating. At the Hangzhou Operations Centre, AI was publicly available to help draft legal documents and answer council questions. Hard hats with fall detection built in, cameras watching over lone workers at sites, and algorithms actually optimising traffic lights to cut congestions across the city. It was the boring infrastructure work that actually moved the needle, providing value to their everyday citizens. For all of that automation, the clearest lesson was almost the opposite. We need to keep humans in the loop when we're integrating these systems. Take Alibaba for example. The scale alone is hard to fathom. 2 billion model downloads this year and 250,000 models built on top of their Qwen model. But the lesson we got talked about was the failure. They tried to generate fashion designs end to end with AI, but it didn't actually work. The designs were soulless, and the designers had no idea how AI actually produced them, so nobody trusted it. So they rebuilt it. AI does the market intelligence, the trend analysis, and it actually gets still fed to the human designer instead of replacing them. Across the whole trip, the failures came from removing human judgment, not from too little AI. And that leads straight into the thing I care about most, the next generation. We had lunch with professors from Tsinghua University's AI team, one of the strongest STEM pipelines on the planet, and they openly admitted no one has education figured out for the age of AI. Their response wasn't to ban the tools, the opposite actually. They let students use the AI they wanted, but actually marked them on how they explained what they used, why they used it, not just the final result. Then we asked one of the professors what young people should actually study now. He said it actually doesn't matter. Engineering, humanities, anything. As long as you're doing AI alongside it, that is the only criteria. That's exactly why I started Young Kiwis in AI. The degree is becoming the wrapper. The real skills is being AI first and keeping human in the loop. I can't do a video on China and AI without the question everyone asks me. Is AI taking people's jobs? And I'll be honest, it was quite a hard one to get a real answer on, because we were meeting with the higher ups of these companies, the leadership team, so you tend to get the polished line. But the answer was pretty consistent everywhere we met. They framed it as a workforce problem, not a job loss one. As a whole, they're an aging population, and they're already struggling to bring enough people in to replace everyone heading into retirement. So the way they see it, AI isn't taking jobs, it's actually picking up the slack from the roles they can't fill. So what am I bringing home? There are 4 main takeaways. 1, the frontier is data and iteration speed, not hardware. And our edge is the niche data we already own, especially in agriculture. 2, AI is going deep in the sectors we actually use every single day. Healthcare, banking, infrastructure, and it's at a scale that's hard to picture until you see it over in China. 3, the national direction accelerates everything. We don't need that central control here in New Zealand, but we do need to shorten our loops, whether that comes from government or our private sector. And 4, skills are the real constraint. Be AI first, whatever you do, and especially be adaptable as things are changing so fast. I came home with my brain completely fried in the best way. The scale over there is genuinely different. The fundamentals are what we already know and value. Solve the real bottleneck, shorten the loop, keep humans accountable, and build for production, not the demonstration. If you got something out of that, leave a like and subscribe. I'm documenting my journey developing real AI change in New Zealand businesses on this channel. Thank you very much.